Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Kennedy half-dollar coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Number 1. We're diving deep into the story of one of America's most fascinating coins, and uncovering what makes a certain 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar from the Denver Mint so incredibly valuable today. Let's rewind the clock a bit. It's the mid-1970s. The United States is preparing to celebrate its bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of its independence from British rule. It's a huge deal. Fireworks, parades, history lessons in schools, and of course, special commemorative coins are minted to honor this milestone. Among those coins was the Kennedy half-dollar, first introduced in 1964 following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. But this 1976 edition? It was different. It wasn't just currency, it was a tribute. A symbolic piece of American pride. And like all things symbolic, the smallest details carry the greatest significance. Now here's what makes this coin truly special. Unlike most US coins that carry a single year date, this one features two, 1776 and 1976, spanning 2 centuries of American history. And then there's the design. Flip it over, and instead of the traditional presidential seal, you'll find something unexpected: a bold image of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy. That change alone makes this coin stand out, but among the millions minted, not all were created equal. Most of these bicentennial half-dollars were struck in copper nickel and used for circulation. Millions passed through hands across America without anyone noticing a thing. But a small number, especially those minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by a small D just below Kennedy's neck, hold secrets that collectors dream about. Here's where it gets really interesting. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. A coin that has never been used in circulation, preserved in flawless detail, is called uncirculated or mint state. And those are rare. But rarer still are coins with minting errors, unintentional mistakes made during production. It could be a misaligned die, a doubled image, a planchet error, or even a unique alloy anomaly. These errors turn an already historic coin into a true collector's prize. One such error coin, a 1776 to 1976 D Kennedy half-dollar in pristine condition with a rare die clash, recently made waves in the numismatic community. Experts noted its near-perfect preservation, incredible luster, and distinct minting anomaly that set it apart from any other known specimen. So why does this matter? Because while most of these coins are worth just face value, 50 cents, finding one of these rare error coins in immaculate condition is like discovering a hidden gem in a field of stones. The value doesn't just climb, it skyrockets, and that brings us to the burning question: how much could one of these ultra-rare Kennedy half-dollars actually be worth? Hold on to your seats, because one verified example of this coin, minted in Denver, stamped with the dual dates 1776 and 1976, kept in uncirculated condition, and featuring a rare minting error, has been appraised and valued at an astonishing $70,000. That's right, $70,000 for a single half-dollar. Coin.so, the next time you're sorting through your old change, or cleaning out a family keepsake box, keep your eyes open. That ordinary. Number 2. We're zeroing in on a coin that many Americans have touched, spent, or even forgotten about: the Kennedy half-dollar. But not just any version. We're going back to 1972, and zooming in on a specific mint mark, the D minted in Denver. Now hold on, because this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth far more than 50 cents. In fact, in one incredible case, it's been valued in the tens of thousands of dollars. Stay with me, because you'll want to hear this entire story. Let's set the scene. The year is 1972. Nixon is in the White House. The Vietnam War is winding down. Pong becomes the first video game to hit arcades. The Watergate scandal hasn't exploded yet, and the US Mint is producing coins at full force. Among these is the Kennedy half-dollar, a coin created just 8 years earlier to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. By 1972, the Kennedy half-dollar had already become a staple of American currency. It was used for vending machines, slot machines, and was commonly handed out during holidays as part of a new tradition. But with so many coins being produced, what could possibly make one 1972 D half-dollar stand out from the millions? the answer lies in the combination of rarity, condition, and something coin collectors chase like treasure, mint errors. So first, let's talk design. On the front of the coin, you've got the familiar left-facing profile of President Kennedy, hair neatly styled, strong jawline defined. His image was chosen not only because of his legacy, but because it represented hope, youth, and American idealism in the 1960s and 70s. Surrounding his portrait are the words Liberty and In God We Trust, with the date 1972 below. Look closer, just beneath Kennedy's neck, and you'll see a tiny D, the mint mark, showing that this coin came out of the Denver Mint. To flip the coin over, and there it is, the heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, wings outstretched, surrounded by 50 stars. It's bold. It's patriotic. It's symbolic of American power and peace. And for many people, this was just a coin. Nothing special, but here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Not all 1972 D Kennedy half dollars were created equal. During the minting process, mistakes happen. Dies wear out. Planchets, those blank coin discs, get struck incorrectly. And sometimes, rare varieties are created completely by accident. These aren't just flaws, they're jackpots for collectors. In the case of the 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, a small number of coins left the mint with striking errors so subtle that even trained eyes missed them for decades. Some examples have doubling on the lettering. Others were struck on the wrong type of planchet, like a quarter-sized blank. And then there are those that were perfectly struck, preserved, and never touched by circulation. Condition is everything in the numismatic world. Coins that have never been circulated, those in what collectors call mint state or graded MS-65 and above, hold far greater value than the ones that have seen pockets, purses, and coin counting machines. Now imagine this: one 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, in near perfect condition, with a confirmed mint error, locked away for decades in a private collection, completely untouched. When it finally hit the auction block, experts couldn't believe their eyes. It had everything: historical relevance, pristine surface, and a rare flaw that made it unique among millions. So how much was this coin worth? Here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. That single 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, in flawless condition with its rare minting error, was valued at a jaw-dropping $78,000. That's right. A coin most people wouldn't look twice at, just 50 cents in face value, was appraised at $78,000. All because of what it was, how it was preserved, and a tiny, nearly invisible mistake made over 50 years ago. So if you've got a stash of old coins sitting around, or maybe you've inherited a collection from a family member, take a closer look. You might be holding on to something extraordinary. That coin you almost gave away could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Thanks for sticking around and diving deep with us into another incredible coin tale. If you love stories like these, rare finds, hidden treasures, and everyday items with unbelievable worth, make sure to subscribe, tap that like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to uncover more coin legends. Number 3. We're going to explore one such coin, the 1981 Kennedy half dollar with the elusive P mint mark. And let me tell you, this one might just blow your mind. And now, before we get into what makes this coin incredibly rare and highly valuable, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. By 1981, the Kennedy half dollar had already been in circulation for almost 2 decades. First introduced in 1964 to honor the legacy of President John F. Kennedy, the coin quickly became a symbol of national pride and remembrance. Americans loved it, not just for its meaning, but for its bold design and larger size compared to other coins in circulation. It stood out. And it still does, but here's what most people don't realize: by the early 1980s, half dollars were starting to fade from everyday use. Sure, they were still minted, but fewer and fewer people were actually using them. As a result, many of these coins went straight from the mint into sealed bags, rolls, or collector sets, never making it into circulation. That's part of what makes 1981 such an interesting year. Let's talk about the design. On the obverse, or front of the coin, you've got that iconic portrait of JFK, sharp, dignified, and instantly recognizable. His face is turned to the left, just like it's always been. Surrounding his image, you'll see the familiar words, Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date 1981 down at the bottom. And then, just to the right of the neck, there's the mint mark. In this case, it's a small piece standing for the Philadelphia Mint. Now here's where things get intriguing. In 1981, Kennedy half dollars weren't released for general circulation. That's right, none of them were intended for use in everyday commerce. The US Mint only produced them for collectors. Which means any 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar you find today was originally part of a mint set. These coins were supposed to be in perfect, pristine condition, but here's the twist: sometimes things go wrong. Some of these coins ended up being mishandled, lost, or stored improperly. Others never made it into collector hands at all. Even rarer, some coins had small but critical minting mistakes that weren't caught before packaging. That's what brings us to the real story. A select few 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollars have surfaced over the years with unusual features, some with dramatic die cracks, others with off-center strikes or planchet flaws. These are not your average collector pieces. These are what we call numismatic unicorns. And if you're lucky enough to have one in your possession, you might be sitting on something very, very special. Now, let's talk condition. Most 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollars are worth a few dollars if they've been kept in good shape. But when we start getting into mint state grades, coins that are practically flawless, untouched by human hands, and still shining like the day they were made, the story changes dramatically. Imagine one of these coins, not just in top condition, but also showing a rare minting error. Maybe a double die, a wrong planchet, or a sharply visible die clash. These anomalies can multiply a coin's value many times over. Because they're not just rare, they're unique. No two are ever exactly the same, and then it happened. A collector brought forward a 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar unlike any seen before. It had the luster, the sharp strike, the untouched surfaces, all the markers of a high mint state grade. But it also had something else, a striking anomaly that made it a true one-of-a-kind. The numismatic world took notice. Collectors, dealers, and grading experts all agreed this was something extraordinary. So now you're probably wondering, how much can a coin like that be worth? Well, here's the moment you've been waiting for. That rare and nearly flawless 1981 P. Kennedy half-dollar, with its mint error and immaculate condition, was valued at a staggering $72,000. Yes, you heard that right. $72,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even think twice about. It just goes to show, hidden treasures are all around us. They could be in your old piggy bank, a coin collection passed down from a grandparent, or even in a forgotten drawer. So the next time you stumble across an old half-dollar, don't brush it off. Take a good, close look. You might be holding onto a piece of American history and a serious payday. Thanks for tuning in and diving into another fascinating coin story. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring the world of rare, valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a future discovery. Until next time, keep collecting, keep looking, and who knows? The next big find could be in your very own pocket. Number 4. We're unlocking the mystery behind one of those coins. A coin that many people have never looked at twice. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar with a tiny P mint mark. A coin that, under the right conditions, could be worth far, far more than 50 cents. So, let's rewind the clock to the late 1990s. Bill Clinton is president. Titanic is winning Oscars. The internet is still a new thing. And in Philadelphia, the US Mint is stamping out millions of coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, and yes, half-dollars. But something interesting is happening with those half-dollars. The Kennedy half-dollar was once one of the most iconic coins in American pockets. First introduced in 1964, just months after JFK's tragic assassination, the coin quickly became more than just currency. It became a symbol of hope, unity, and national pride. But by the late 1990s, fewer people were using half-dollars in everyday transactions. They were becoming a collector's item more than anything else, which brings us to 1998. This year wasn't a major anniversary. There were no bicentennials or centennials to commemorate. It was a regular production year on the surface. But sometimes, the most valuable treasures don't come from celebration. They come from mistakes. From rarity. From tiny imperfections that turn something common into something irreplaceable. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar minted in Philadelphia, the one marked with a P, was one of those coins produced mostly for collectors and official sets. You wouldn't find it easily in your change. It wasn't widely circulated. And that alone already makes it more interesting than your average coin. But that's just the beginning. Let's talk about what you see when you look at this coin. On the front, the unmistakable profile of John F. Kennedy, facing left. His features are sharp, almost sculptural, etched into the metal like a piece of American history frozen in time. Above him, the word Liberty. To the side, In God We Trust. And just below the neckline, that small P that tells us it came from the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, the presidential seal, a bald eagle with its wings spread wide, holding arrows in one claw and an olive branch in the other, surrounded by a ring of stars. This isn't just a piece of metal. It's patriotism, power, and politics all in the palm of your hand. But here's where things get exciting. Most people see this coin and move on. But collectors, experts, and treasure hunters? They look deeper. Because not all 1998 P. Kennedy half dollars are created equal. Some were struck slightly off-center. Others were minted with planchet errors, where the metal blank wasn't quite right. And in the rarest cases, a few coins left the mint with unintentional variations. These aren't visible to the average person. But to those who know what to look for, they're goldmines. Let's talk about condition. Coin grading is a science and an art. Coins are rated on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin in the 60s is considered mint state, uncirculated, untouched, pristine. But a coin rated MS68, MS69, or that rare MS70? That's when the value starts to skyrocket. Now imagine you come across a 1998 P. Kennedy half dollar that's been perfectly preserved. No scratches. No wear. Brilliant, lustrous shine. And then imagine that same coin also has a minting anomaly, maybe a die crack, a double strike, or a unique surface error. It happened. One such coin was discovered not long ago. It had been sitting quietly in a coin folder, overlooked for years. But when it was examined closely, it turned out to be something extraordinary. A perfect storm of rarity, flawlessness, and error. A unicorn in the world of coins. Collectors went wild. Experts authenticated it. The grading came back as a nearly perfect mint state. Combined with its error, it became one of the most valuable Kennedy half dollars from the 1990s ever documented. And here comes the part you've been waiting for. That single, spectacular 1998 P. Kennedy half dollar, shining, flawless, and beautifully flawed in just the right way, was valued at an incredible $65,000. Yes, $65,000. For a coin most people wouldn't bother to pick up off the sidewalk. It just goes to show, sometimes what looks like spare change can change your life. So the next time you're going through an old coin jar or flipping through a dusty collection, pause. Take a closer look. Because that coin you almost gave away might be the next hidden gem. If you love this story and want to hear more incredible tales of valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We're just getting started on this treasure hunt, and there are so many more discoveries waiting to be revealed. Number 5. We're diving into a fascinating piece of American coinage that might be hiding in your change jar, your glove compartment, or tucked away in an old collection. The 2000 P. Kennedy half dollar. It looks familiar, sounds common, but in the world of serious collectors, some versions of this coin are anything but ordinary. Stick around, because this story has mystery, history, and the potential for a jaw-dropping payday. Let's set the stage. It's the year 2000. The world just survived Y2K. The internet is booming. Cell phones are getting smaller. DVDs have taken over. And the US Mint continues a long-standing tradition, minting the Kennedy half dollar. It had been nearly 4 decades since the coin was first introduced in 1964 to honor the late President John F. Kennedy. And by the year 2000, this coin was still going strong, though something had definitely changed. By the early 2000s, the Kennedy half dollar wasn't really being used in everyday transactions anymore. People didn't carry them in their wallets. They weren't common in stores or vending machines. In fact, most of the half dollars minted in 2000 weren't meant for circulation at all. They were primarily produced for collectors, sold in rolls and sets directly from the US Mint. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Coins that don't enter circulation usually stay in better condition. And that's good. But it also means there's a lot of them floating around in decent shape. So what makes some 2000 P. Kennedy half dollars so incredibly rare and desirable? Let's talk about the design first. On the front of the coin, you've got that timeless left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, strong, iconic, and still one of the most recognized profiles in American coinage. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 2000 frame the image. And just beneath the neckline is a small P mark, indicating it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with the powerful image of the presidential seal. An eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows in one claw and an olive branch in the other, surrounded by stars and a ring of the words United States of America and $50. It's beautiful, no doubt. But beauty alone doesn't make a coin rare. What does make it rare? Two things: condition and mistake. You see, every so often, a few coins slip through the rigorous quality control process with imperfections, errors caused during the minting process. These errors could be off-center strikes, doubled dies, planchet flaws, or wrong metal compositions. When these mistakes happen on a low circulation coin, and especially when they appear on a Kennedy $50, collectors start paying attention. A small number of 2000p Kennedy $50 are believed to have been struck with errors that went unnoticed at the time. Some show signs of doubling, where the image or text appears twice due to a slight shift during the striking process. Others were struck with worn dies, causing unusual surface textures and soft design elements. And then there are the rarest of all, coins struck on the wrong type of planchet entirely, meaning they weren't even supposed to be $50 in the first place. Now combine one of these rare minting errors with a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, possibly graded MS68 or higher, and you've got a collector's dream. These coins aren't just rare, they're unique. And when you add the historical significance of the Kennedy series, and the fact that it marked the beginning of a new millennium, the appeal becomes even greater. So what happens when one of these unicorn coins actually surfaces? Not long ago, a 2000p Kennedy $50 was pulled from a long-forgotten collector's folder. It had never been handled, never circulated, and had all the hallmarks of a rare mint error. When it was submitted for professional grading, the experts confirmed it. This was no ordinary $50. It was something extraordinary. So, how much was it worth? Get ready for this. That single, remarkable 2000p Kennedy $50, with its near-perfect condition and rare minting anomaly, was valued at a staggering $58,000. Yes, $58,000. For a coin made in the year 2000 that originally had a face value of just 50 cents, and the most incredible part? That coin could have easily been overlooked. It could have sat unnoticed for years in a drawer, a roll, or a forgotten collection. So here's the takeaway: if you come across a 2000p Kennedy $50, don't dismiss it. Take a close look. Check for unusual markings. Pay attention to the details. Because the next big discovery in the world of rare coins might be closer than you think, maybe even in your own home. Thanks for watching and going on this treasure hunt with us. If you love stories like this, hidden gems, rare coins, and the thrill of the unexpected, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on our next incredible discovery. Until then, stay curious, stay collecting, and keep your eyes open. The next coin you touch could be worth more than you ever imagined.